All right. Hey, happy Friday. This is Prepping with Sarge. We'll give people a little bit of a chance to get in here. While that's happening, I'm gonna tweet out an invite here. So bear with me here just a second. So if you're tuning in late, usually give people a few minutes to kind of get in here. And let's see, share. Send this out to Twitter. Try that again. Do a quick audio check here while we're waiting. Do a quick audio check here while we're waiting. There we go. So this is Prepping with Sarge. Hey, Brett, welcome. Happy Friday. We are going to do a little live stream here talking about prepper preparedness, financial preparedness, one of the things I like to talk about on the channel. And then after this, I'm going to have us all finished up by 8:30 so that you can all head over to Silver Husky's bin auction, which is a whole lot of fun. If you haven't done that, the merchant metals, and he does it with Director of Awesome. Really, really fun. And then if you're still on that late at 10:30, my buddy Rogue Morgan from Rogue Preparedness is doing her live stream. So you can make this like the pre-party, the party, and the after party. And I really recommend you check out all three for Good Friday night. Go ahead and grab yourself a beverage while we're getting set up here. We'll do some introductions and whatnot. All right, we sent that out. We're going to talk about the state of the onion. Hey, digital preppers, good to see you. So this is Prepping with Sarge. We do all things preparedness. We do a lot of wilderness survival. I do some gardening for food self-sufficiency. I love to talk about financial preparedness. Do some product reviews. And of course, nothing that I say on this channel is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I am just a YouTube clown that is here for your entertainment. In fact, you should probably not do anything that I tell you to do because, you know, I clearly don't know anything about what I'm talking about. You know, it's funny, we have to do these disclaimers and everything, but actually the YouTubers that I follow for financial stuff outperform all of the very, very well-paid and highly educated brokers that my friends are dealing with. But hey, it is what it is. So it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. In fact, I recommend that you do your own due diligent research at all times. So hey, Miss Southern Belle, so that Sarge is not responsible if you make a bad decision. That's on you. We all have to be big boys and girls, make our own decisions, right? So I'm gonna talk about a few things here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. It looks like we got about 3 or 4 people here. I hope everybody's doing good. Hope you all are having a fun Friday night. Just once again, I'm going to get us done here by 8:30. So if anyone's interested, Silver Husky is going live with Director of Awesome for their merchant metals bin auction. That is a really fun stream. And then they start the chatter around 8:30, and I think the bin auction starts at like 9 or 9:30. But it's a good time. There's a lot of people from the silver community, the precious metals community, in that stream. And then after that, around 10:30-ish, Morgan from Rogue Preparedness is going to go live on her channel, and there's a lot of cool people from the preparedness community in that one. So pre-party, party, after party. Crack open your beverage. Let's have a good time. Let's get right to it. So I did a lot of research going into this tonight. I had a couple things I wanted to talk about. So when I'm looking at the state of the economy, there's a few things that I look at, some markers, and I track some of this stuff going back years. Some of it I used to track and I kind of dropped. What I don't do is rely solely on what the talking heads on the 3-letter networks are telling me, or a politician is saying. You know, so a politician says, "Oh, the economy's just humming along just fine." Yeah, okay, because you said so. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of ways to track it besides somebody's opinion who sits in front of a camera, and that includes me. Please don't take anything just for granted just because Sarge says it. Again, I need you to do your own due diligent research. Just giving you my opinions here. So I'm going to go through some of those markers that I track, and please chime in with your opinions on some of this stuff. Now, one of the first ones I do is I look at the dollar versus other currencies in the world, the big currencies, right? And the reason that I do this, and this is, I talked about this in a lot of my videos, that the reason that the United States can get away with printing and printing and printing is because other countries are doing other things with their currencies. So yeah, we, in theory, that's devaluing our currency, but the value of the US dollar, I'm talking about just the paper fiat dollar, is more than just like, the paper it's printed on. It's based on the perception of the people who use that, right? And the value of the dollar across the world, right? So the United States dollar is still, despite some of our policies, is I hate bacon. I was watching your stream last night, or I was catching up on one of your streams. So the US dollar is still looking, to the rest of the world, it looks very, very strong because other world currencies are doing the same, right? So that buff uncontrollably. So when I'm looking at like our economy, what the talking heads on TV are telling me, I look. So one of the ones that I look at is the British, which I'm going back about a year. So I'm giving you the approximates. You all can look this stuff up. This is just kind of for chatter. So right now, one British pound sterling is worth 1.42 US dollars, right? So what that means, so what's happening is, over a year ago, it was sitting at around 1.2, right? So the US dollar is losing value versus the British pound sterling. That's one marker. We're going to look at a few. So in other words, the pound is getting stronger and the US dollar is getting weaker comparatively. We're essentially the hottest. Yeah. It's we're the most, in theory. I mean, you can make an argument that the pound is stronger, right? You could make an argument that precious metals are stronger, and those of us in the precious metals community, and somewhat in the prepping community, might think that way too. Some people would say cryptocurrencies are stronger. All right, so let's switch this up now. Let's take a look at the euro. Now, the euro used to kill the dollar. That it has fallen from grace a little bit. So €1 is worth 1.22 US dollars. Okay, so it's only slightly up from where it was about a year ago. So it was at about 1.5 US dollars, right? So now the euro, if you go back a few years ago, let me see, how far back can I take this? Yeah, so 1.1 euro was worth $1.50. It fell quite a bit. I mean, and if you guys, you have to go back to what was going on in the news about 5 or 6 years ago. They were having problems with, how do I explain this? I wish we've got some friends in the community from Europe. I wish they were in this chat. You've got 14, 15 different countries with 14, 15 different monetary policies, all sharing one currency. Not everybody's in the same agreement about, like, lending and debt and things like that. So you got you had some political drama going on in that arena, and it was dropping really, really fast versus the dollar a couple of years ago. And then it kind of stabilized around €1 being worth about $1.15, one US dollar 15 cents. And it's climbed up a little bit since then, but not too bad. Now, I used to check it versus the yen. I have not checked that in a long time. So it's just out of curiosity. Let's see what that's doing. Okay, actually interesting. About the same as a euro. So one Chinese yuan is worth 1.22 US dollar. Okay, so that's one marker that I look at. Hey, Angie, how are you doing? All right, second marker that I look at is, what is the price of a barrel of crude oil, right? And I look at that not just like how much does it cost? How much did it cost 5 years ago? How much did it cost 10 years ago? So as of today, it was around $63 for a barrel of crude. That's gone up. We were at the lowest point that we had was around, at one point, for 1 month, it dropped down into the teens. That was when, if you guys remember, back in, what was that? March of last year, right before the pandemic, gasoline was super cheap. You could get it around $1 a gallon here. TGIF is right. So it's gone up about 4 times since then. So I bought gas this week at, it was about $3 a gallon. So actually, the proportion, the ratio hasn't gone up as much as it could have. That's interesting. Now, South Carolina, so I paid about it was actually a little bit less than $3 a gallon. South Carolina has some of the lowest taxes in the country on gasoline. So our gas is typically lower than other parts of the country. I think California is the highest. So if we have anybody in here, hey Pilgrims Prepping Show, thanks for joining. So if we have anybody in here from the West Coast, I'm curious what you're paying for a gallon of unleaded gasoline right now. So the worst that we saw it was back in like 2008, right around the Great Recession. It was, if you guys remember, it was about $130 for a barrel of crude. And so here in South Carolina at that time, I think oh no, I'm sorry, I was in Kentucky at that time. We were looking at close to $4 a gallon. Okay, so it's interesting. The ratios don't always work right? So we should be at about, if it's not proportional, right? Otherwise, we'd be paying about $2 a gallon right now, and we're paying a lot more than that. Okay, so that's the next thing. So I look at currencies. I look at how much is oil. All right, what's the normal rate of inflation? So we should be. I get it here. That's $4 in Seattle. Okay, and that's for 87. Don't worry, California's most. Do you know, Bacon? Do you know what they're paying in California? So normal rate of inflation is 2.25%. That's considered a moderate amount of inflation. The cost of most goods and services rises about 2.25% per year. We are they're saying double that for 2021. I think it's more. I feel like it's more, and that's anecdotal. But there's things that I think there's ways that they can hide inflation. So, for example, if you buy a package of Oreo cookies, and last year the package was 16 ounces, and this year, I'm just making this up, I'm not picking on Oreos. This year it's 12 ounces, and you're paying a little bit more. That's one way that you can hide the true cost of inflation. I think I'm going to come back to this part, but okay, housing prices. They're saying that the price of housing costs is the price of houses is up about 4%, which is considered normal. Now there are some years where it actually goes down, and there's some years where it goes up much more than 4%. They're saying it's only up about 4%, and here in Charleston, it seems like it's a lot more than that. $4.50 and $5. Okay, so somewhere between $4.50 and $5 per gallon in California. Thank you. Housing. So what's interesting is what we're hearing here in Charleston, and I don't know what you all are hearing. I'm curious. Housing shortage, not necessarily like how much the prices for housing is going up, but the housing shortage. So we have some friends who sell real estate, and that there's a tremendous inventory shortage, seeing the same thing. So that's kind of the part here, which is pretty interesting. The next part is the pending eviction crisis. Now, I tried to pull numbers of how many people are backed up in the courts for a pending eviction, and I could not get an accurate count. Most sources said in the millions. Okay, so I want to talk about that for a second. So there's been Now, there are some evictions that have gone on in the past year. Some people did get evicted. There were some loopholes in the system, so there was ways to get people evicted if they weren't paying their rent or destroying the property or breaking rules or whatever, breaking their agreement. But there was a lot of people that didn't. And a lot of people stopped paying their rent with, like, I don't know if they were banking their money, or there's probably a percentage of people who figured, I'm not going to have to pay that. Um, so what's going to happen here? That's the big crisis around the corner that nobody's talking about. And let's just say, hypothetically, like, they can't hold off this moratorium forever unless you're going to reimburse all these landlords all across the country. And you talk about printing money. How much money are we going to print? Right? Is it time to finally print that $1 trillion coin to pay off the debt? Right? Like, how much money is owed to these landlords? Right? And they have to pay their mortgage on that building unless it was paid off. But even then, they still have real estate taxes and property insurances and whatnot. So this is a problem that's going to have to be dealt with, right? And I have empathy for people that were out of their job and couldn't pay it, and I have empathy for people who owned property and haven't been getting paid. So you all tell me what you think the solution to this is. What's probably going to happen is that these evictions will be rolling, right? So there's not going to be all millions of people at once, but you are going to start to see a lot of people looking for housing, right? Wow, all of a sudden my viewers dropped off. I must have said, I hope I didn't say something that ticked everybody off. It's 8 o'clock. You know what? I bet you another live stream just started. There was a furlough on mortgages finance. Okay. One, my buddy in Newton Close Bank saying, don't worry about extending it as long as she feels comfortable. Right. So let's say that it's a small number. Let's say 1 million. Okay, that's very conservative. That 1 million people in the country are suddenly looking for housing, and I'm hearing that there's a housing shortage. Okay, and landlords that are going to be looking to fill these apartments, right, or these houses for rent, after they didn't get paid for a full year, right? And if I have any of this information wrong, if somebody knows more about real estate, please say no, that's not how it's working, because I'm just going by the information that I can pull. But if these landlords haven't got paid for a year, a lot of them, and so they're going to be pretty choosy, I would think, right? So what are all this million people looking for apartments? What are they going to do, right? Do they have a reference, like your last landlord that you didn't pay for a year, maybe because you couldn't, because you weren't working or whatever? Or, I mean, there's all kinds of different reasons. Maybe you were sick. Maybe you had a family member sick. There's all kinds of reasons, but they're probably not going to give you a reference, right? So there may be some doubling up. So people are going to live with other family members. That's one possible solution. But there's probably going to be a lot of people out houseless, right? People living out in the streets, squatting in abandoned buildings, things like that. So if you don't think that situation is going to affect your neighborhood, I think you're mistaken. Okay, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes down. So, and again, if you're anybody that's out there watching this, what are you seeing in your communities in terms of, like, is there a shortage of available housing? Adrian, Nico, good to see you guys. How you doing? Hey, did you guys up in Canada? Did you guys do? I have two questions for you, Adrian and Nico. Did you have a moratorium on evictions up in Canada, and how is that being handled? And the second question, well, that was two questions. The third question is, how much are you guys paying for gasoline or petrol or whatever you call it up there for a gallon or a liter? I guess you guys do liters, right? A liter of unleaded gasoline. By the way, if you guys are enjoying this content and you haven't already done so, please consider giving me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Just to recap, I'm going to end us by 8:30 today. Silver Husky and Director of Awesome have their stream right after this. They do the bin auctions, which is really fun. So head over there as soon as this one's done. They usually do a little bit of live chatter, and then they go into the bin auctions. And then around 10:30, Morgan from Rogue Preparedness does her live stream. So consider us the pre-party, then go to the party, and then go to the after party. It'll be a great Friday night for you. That's a fuel $1.60. Okay, so in Canada, you're looking at about $1.60 in Canadian dollars per liter. All right. Well, while I'm going on, if anybody wants to try to do the conversion to US dollars per gallon, I appreciate it. I don't know that I can do that math right this second. All right, let's go into the next part of this. So I also, when I'm looking at, we are definitely partying. We're definitely partying. I also look at gold and silver, precious metals, because, and the reason that I weigh that as to like how the economy is doing, that is your hedge against inflation, right? So that's one of the safer. It's generally considered one of the safer commodities, safer assets to protect you against the inflation. So most years, gold tends to at least match inflation. Silver tends to trail, but it also tends to catch up on some years. Lumber is through the roof here, guys. It is. Adrian Nico was saying the lumber industry is exploding. Housing market is sky high. So yeah, we were talking about that. They're telling us that housing prices in the United States are going up an average of 4%. I can only speak anecdotally to here in Charleston, and it feels like it's way more than 4%. I imagine that other parts of the country, California, New York, Boston, certain areas like that, Texas, I know is really popular. Arizona is really popular. That they're probably seeing the same thing that we're seeing, which low inventory, high prices, right? And usually another way that we can tell anecdotally is we start getting letters from the real estate agents like, hey, somebody just sold a house in your neighborhood for this amount of money. Are you interested in selling? That's how you know that the market's like really going crazy. All right, so gold and silver. Gold is finally kicking back out of it was in a nice dip if you were looking to buy. And I put that information out there for people like that. This is as low as I thought it would. It was lower than I thought it would get. That way, I'll send it. Oh, that'd be cool. Thank you, Bacon. I appreciate it. I'm always trying to get new eyes on the channel. Sometimes it feels like my channel doesn't get suggested, but I know everybody probably feels that way. Gold was down to like 17. I think it got down like almost to 1730 off the top of my head, just not too long ago, like a month and a half ago. And I said I didn't think it would get that low. That I didn't think it would get. I didn't think it would ever get below 1800 again per ounce. It's back above 1800, and it seems to be climbing pretty steadily. It's at 1888 today. Again, I'm going to reiterate what I said. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict everything, but I don't see it going below 1800 again. I really don't. I'm surprised that it did. And I hope that if you were interested in getting into gold, I hope that you jumped on that because, and it's still at a good price, in my opinion. I think this is, again, not financial advice, not an expert. My opinion, anything under 1900 is still a good price. When it gets up to 1900, then I start just kind of putting on the brakes and saying, okay, is this a good deal or not? Gold, again, just an opinion, gold's going to continue to rise and hopefully at least match inflation. Hey, Ty family, it's good to see you again. I need to get over to your channel. I'm sorry I haven't been over there in a little while. Okay, silver. So silver usually lags behind gold a little bit. We know that, and silver's actually had a pretty good month. It is down a little bit today. It's back down to 27.66. I'm comfortable with that. The premiums. A lot of people are saying the premiums are still high, but I'm back in the mode of buying silver at this point, and I'm basing that personally on with all of this stuff that we're looking at. Okay, all of this stuff, unemployment, and the difficulty it's been getting people to go back into the workforce, the concern for the workforce that they don't want to go back because either they don't feel that it's safe or they're holding out because the wages aren't there. That's a really complicated issue that I probably would need a whole live stream just for that. But I'm taking all this into account and I'm back into silver because I think that we're not in a recession. I'm starting to sum it up for you. I think we're heading towards a recession. This is just one man's opinion, and I know the news and the politicians are telling you something different. I'm telling you these are the markers that I've been watching for since 2001. Yeah, so when I started getting into the stock market. You all got to do your own due diligence. These are just some of the things that I look at. Let me see if I had anything else here for you. I wanted to go back to one piece of this. Unemployment, eviction, talked about housing prices. Okay, this is not really necessarily related to that. This is just a freak thing, but I did want to bring up the fuel shortage piece again. So we were hearing, of course, that the Colonial Pipeline situation was clear. Boots on the ground. I will tell you that when I went to fill up my tank this week, I had to go to 3 stations, and one of those was a Walmart, one of those was a Speedway, and I was like, oh wow, I was kind of surprised by that because the news again was saying no problems, everybody's got gas, don't freak out, right? Don't prepare, right? Don't prepare. Like, why would you do that? you know, it's so 2 stations didn't have it, and then the road that I was on, there's like 7 stations on there. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go down and I'll hit every single one. And at this point, because I have to have gas to get to work, just like you all, I'm not in the I don't have the luxury of working from home right now. So I was if they had said $5 a gallon, I would have had to pay $5 a gallon. You know, I can store some, but I live in the city. I used to have a farm and I used to be able to store like 50 gallons. I don't have that ability right now. So I do what I can. And of course, if you were one of those people that could store 50 gallons, then everybody was like, oh, you're a hoarder, right? Really? Okay. Well, when I lived out in a farm, I had an hour commute to work. Okay. And there was maybe one gas station along the way. So maybe it made sense to store a little bit of gasoline, right? You just never know a person's circumstances. And then, I know even I kind of got on that, and I was making fun of the people putting gasoline in plastic bags, which is a really bad idea. Don't do that. But I also shouldn't have been a bully about that. This is why we do prepping to educate people. So if you are going to store gasoline, do it safely and get yourself some jerry cans. They're a good investment, and store what makes sense and what's safe to do for your property. Okay. All right. We got about 15 minutes left. Hey, Prepper Home. So let's kind of start to tie this. Oh, I had two more things, and then I'm going to tie this in a ball, and we're going to get you on your way to the next part of the party. So crypto, how can I leave this out, Rick? So wow, if you're in crypto, and you guys know I like to dabble in cryptocurrencies, and I full disclosure, I'll tell you my 4 that I play around with. I play around with Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. But my strategy, and I've been crystal clear about this all the way from the beginning, I take profits like every 5%. So if I buy, just as an example, right? So Bitcoin is at, I'll tell you right now, it's not good. Thank you, Papa Elon, for continuing to, Elon Musk for tweeting out stuff that's making people panic sell all their cryptocurrencies. But so right now, Bitcoin's at 37,000 per Bitcoin. So if you bought it let's say you bought 1 Bitcoin at 37,000, and it goes back up to 60,000. So on the way up, this is just me personally, Sarge's strategy. I would be taking profits off the top. Hang on, I got something to check here. That's weird, Prepper Home. I don't know why it censored your comment, but I think I got it approved there. That's really weird. Yeah, Rob, I agree. I agree. I take profits every 5%. So I check it daily. Actually, I check it multiple times a day. And every time it's up 5%, I'm taking profits. And people are like, that's a lot of taxes. I know. You're paying taxes on your winnings, and you can deduct a tiny bit of your losses. I know that. But if you were sitting on it when it was at 60,000 and you said, heck yeah, I'm riding this baby up to 100,000, now it's sitting at 37,000, you're probably kicking yourself saying, I wish I'd taken some profits because now I could buy back in at 37,000. Okay. That's just my strategy. There are people and with Dogecoin, I saw people posting like, don't sell Dogecoin at 60 cents or 70 cents. We're taking this thing past $1. Okay. And now Dogecoin is at 35 cents. Okay. So if you had taken some profits, you'd be sitting on a little bit of cash. You could be buying back in at 35 cents, riding that back up and making your profit. It's just a strategy. I'm not saying everybody has to do it my way, but that's how I do it. So, Pepper Home, what do you mean your husband's scared of taking that chance? Can you clarify that? And then while we're doing that, so the last little piece here is your stock market. So that's been pretty volatile. It seems like it's up one day, down one day, but that's another market that I check. And I check NASDAQ, which is of course a lot of your tech stuff, the New York Stock Exchange, Dow Jones, and the S&P 500. Of those, I am most following the S&P 500 because a lot of my investments are S&P 500 companies, right? So I like to buy blue chip S&P 500 companies that have been around for a very long time. Hey, Silver Husky, we're going to be heading over to your way in just a minute. Silver Scorpions, good to see you. So I'm talking about companies like Coca-Cola, 3M, Caterpillar. In fact, I'll tell you some of the ones. Again, I don't mind. It's not like I'm trying to hide this stuff. AbbVie, Johnson & Johnson, Cisco, EMR, AMCR, couple bank stocks, JPM and Citigroup. And then I expand a little bit. I own a little Apple, a little bit of Microsoft. That's the kind of companies that I like because they're stable. They stay, they've stayed in business through so many recessions, and you get I like companies that give a little bit of dividends to create that passive income too. I appreciate you guys. Way too much big money invested in crypto. All of this negative crypto activity, FUD, is contrived to shake out the people for whom this is their first rodeo. Yeah, a lot of people made money, there was a lot of pumping. DA sales, good to see you. There was a lot of pumping going on. And so we've talked about the Reddit communities before. I like the Reddit communities. They're fun. There's some really good memes. You can get some interesting tips there, but be careful because there's a segment of the Reddit communities that are pumping to get you to buy, and they'll tell you don't sell it under any circumstances, don't sell it, and they're selling it on the down low. Okay, so just be careful. Know how this game works. Tattooed Ronan, let me fix that. Saying message retracted. Why is it saying that? I don't know. It's not showing me your message, Foo. I'm sorry. I don't know how to fix that. So let's start to wind this down. We got about 10 minutes left, and then we got to get over to Silver Husky's channel. So just a reminder, anything I talk about on here was not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a YouTube clown here to entertain you. I appreciate everybody joining in. Appreciate all your thoughts and your comments that you're giving. If you haven't already done so, give me a thumbs up, please. If you don't like my content, give me a thumbs down. I still appreciate the watch time. I appreciate the engagement. After this one, we're all going to head over to Silver Husky's channel and watch the bin auction. And then again at 10:30, Morgan at Rogue Preparedness has got her live stream. If you're still up and you're still partying, please go say hi to her. Tell her I sent you over. So how are we going to survive this, folks? I think you need to be building some passive income. I think you need to be creative. If you don't already have a side hustle, because if this gets into like Great Recession territory, that's going to be interesting. Like we had in 2008, a lot of people lost their homes. A lot of people had layoffs. I heard that before. Wait, oh, thank you. Okay, I got you, McBacon. Okay. Do what you can now, because we're not in the recession yet. I think we're showing the signs of what could happen. Again, just my one person's opinion. I say do what you can now to put yourself in a position that if we get into another great recession or worse, because this is a prepper channel, I want you guys to have some food stored back. I want you guys to have some passive income. I want you guys to have a side hustle. I want you guys to have some physical assets. That can be precious metals. That can be tools. Some people are into antiques. Whatever you think in a recession you could, if you had to, turn around and sell for whatever the currency is at that time. I do think everybody should have some cash. If you're in the United States, and whatever the currency is for your country, you should have some of that too. On screens type others. I wrote this. Reminded me of 2018 when crypto crashed, but it did bounce back. Yep, and I think it will. I'm buying the dip. Full disclosure, I'm buying the dip. Last week before crash, good for you, Foo. building that passive income. Plus, we were a fantastic food storage, started good. We are moving to bigger units. We'll have more storage spaces. Awesome. It sounds like you're ahead of the ball. Sarge, good to see you. All right. So what else we got? So if you don't know how to garden, now's the time to learn how to garden if you can. Even if you don't have like outside space, there's some stuff you can do indoors. You can grow lettuces and herbs, and herbs are like super expensive. So if like you like to cook with oregano and rosemary and basil and things like that, a lot of times that stuff can be grown in a window, and it's super expensive. So you can save money right there. Lettuces can be grown in a window. You can grow mushrooms indoors, and this is all like without like fancy lighting. And I'm not talking about those mushrooms. I'm talking about the legal kind of mushrooms. So don't get sassy in chat. I see what you're thinking out there. Stock up on like if you need any kind of over-the-counter meds. If you regularly take ibuprofen, Benadryl, whatever. If you see it on sale, if you get a coupon, grab it now. Don't break your bank for this. Don't go out and use your credit card. Don't pull your savings out, but start moving some stuff in that direction. Apartment garden is your next journey. Okay. Beets by the window, just the beet leaves. Okay. Yep. Yeah. And that's true for a lot of flowers too. Like a lot of like you can grow calendula, which is the flowers are edible. Roses, the petals and the leaves and the hips are edible. So there's, if you're in a place where maybe your landlord or your HOA doesn't let you grow a vegetable garden, maybe they let you plant some flowers that are edible. And some of that stuff is better tasting than you think. I appreciate that, Adrian and Nico. Some herbs grow well according to Rogue. Free mint for mojitos. There you go. Yeah, mint grows super easy. Get your first aid items. That's a good suggestion there. So stock up on, don't run out of toilet paper, right? Let's not do this again, folks. If you got space, store some extra toilet paper. Store some bars of soap. I go a couple times a year and I grab, the soap that I use. Sorry about that dust cloud. It's been sitting there. Paper towels, cleaning products if you need those. You can make a lot of cleaning products cheaper with like vinegar and stuff like that. There was some weird stuff went during this pandemic. Like people stocked up on like we had a hard time getting Dawn, which we love Dawn dish detergent. So when it was finally back in stock, I stocked a ton of that. Tea tree oil is good for cleaning cuts, to help with infections. I didn't know that about repelling mosquitoes. That's a nice extra. Yeah, so that's another one too. Like I stock up on sunblock because of this. Look at this. I stock up on sunblock and bug spray. I always have a ton of that. The stuff that stays good for a long time. If you can get it cheap right now, don't use your credit card, but start maybe instead of like using that extra money to buy the case of beer or the stuff that you spoil, video games, whatever, comic books, just start pivoting some of that discretionary money towards your preps, and let's get through this. 2008 took a lot of people by surprise, and I know that I got laid off during that time, and we came through it okay, but it was rough. I got pretty low, and because you don't want to get laid off during a recession. You don't want to get laid off ever, really, but during a recession, because everybody's looking for work, and I had a really hard time. And I have a really good resume, y'all. I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I do have a really good resume, and I had a hard time getting hired. So I hope that helps a little bit. I'm going to start winding us down here. Who knows about the lighters? I'm not a smoker, but I do believe in like keeping matches and lighters around for like starting fires, and I do keep quite a bit of those around. Dishwasher tabs, laundry soap, yeah. And the cool thing is like some of that stuff like Dawn can be used. If you ran out of bar soap and there was a supply disruption or something like that, you could use Dawn really to clean yourself. A lot of those soaps, are safe for using on the body too. Yeah, and that's another idea, Sarge. Is you guys could we could all, if you got stuff around, like I got comic books, I got baseball cards. Now if I was going to sell them and convert them to precious metals or another asset, now's a good time to do it while the people are still kind of spending their money, right? And you know what? If I'm wrong, if we look back on this live stream in 6 months or a year and the economy is humming along, like the pretty people on TV keep saying is, then I am happy to eat my humble pie. But I'd rather all of us be prepared. I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up, give you a couple minutes here to, if you want to use the restroom or get yourself a drink before the next live stream. So just to remember, after this one, head over to Silver Husky's channel, please. And if you're up late enough and you want to join her channel, Morgan over at Rogue Preparedness, and please tell her that Prepping with Sarge sent you. I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate awesome comments over here. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time and joining me on Friday night. I'm trying to do this a little bit more regularly. We'll do these Friday night pre-parties. So if you enjoy this, I appreciate it. It's fun for me too. We got a lot of things to talk about. It's going to be an interesting year. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge. You're very welcome. Thank you for joining in.